Building a Startup in 500 Days, Day 232. Okay, so last night turned into a bit of a saga because so basically we're running into this issue where once a user gets a notification, they click into the app and then ideally there's a pop-up that shows that they're supposed to document their day. But the issue was that the pop-up was only showing on a page load through Bubble, so if user didn't exit out of their apps, they weren't seeing the pop-up. And so an artist actually hit me up yesterday about that and wondering how they could fix it. So last night I went into this whole kind of saga to try to figure it out. And I thought I had a fix yesterday, and then it turned out that it didn't work. So basically what I had to do is I actually set up 10 API workflows through cronjob to basically trigger a field on a user object if they're past 5 or before 5 p.m., which is when the pop-up is supposed to show up. So then the front end can pull from that database. It can't be the best way to do it. It can't be the best way to do it. But I was like, spent so long doing it last night. And then today it actually worked. So hyped. First time that worked. So let's go. Was so hyped about that. So even if a user does not exit out of their app, which I feel like a lot of people don't, they can still check in by just pressing that button. Yes, huge. And then I also posted on my personal IG story today about the new version, which was dope because it got some more inbound and some artists who were interested in testing it out. So we got some of them onboarded. And then I posted a few talks on the day-to-day account. And then I followed up with our week 1 testers. So 2 beta users, artists, have reached the first week mark, which is cool because I'm like being a lot more intentional about how I'm tracking the data here, about how I'm communicating with users during this beta test. So it seems like it's definitely a lot more intentional than the first one, which hopefully will lead to things panning out better, or even if not panning out better, at least like a better way to kind of interpret the data that we've gotten through the beta test. But it actually was interesting because 2 people hit me up from my IG story who I talked to early on who actually wanted to just use the OG version again, which is cool. So who knows how the 2 are going to coexist moving forward. Like I'm still using both. And we'll see, if other people, because there are still people using the OG version too. So who knows? So yeah, overall feeling really excited. It's so cool seeing the feed start populating more and just seeing people work towards their goals. So kind of strategy right now is to continue posting a lot on TikTok twofold. One is to get more artist testers, but then 2 is to continue to experiment with different content around kind of our mission of, the day-to-day, focusing on the process, really glamorizing the unexciting, stuff like that. And then continue to be intentional about the artists who are on the beta test and approaching what they say and how we can kind of iterate and stuff like that. Okay, actually kind of interesting though, because so I think I've mentioned before about how I was banging my head against the wall, or actually maybe this happened when I wasn't documenting, but I have been kind of banging my head against the wall trying to figure out time sensitive notifications because I'm using OneSignal as my notifications provider. And whenever I try to set them up, it says you have to set them up through Xcode, which I guess is some Apple developer thing. And I just cannot figure it out. I've been trying to figure out Xcode. I downloaded it. I don't know. I don't even know if you can really use it with Bubble. Maybe it's just who knows? You probably can. I just can't figure it out. But it actually has been really interesting because some of the feedback, I think I've gotten this from 3 people, is that they were actually a little bit deterred from logging their day because the notification came at a certain time and it said 2 minutes left to document your day or whatever, which was what we were aiming for, taking cues from Be Real of how it kind of generates urgency. But they were actually deterred by that, and they actually did not fill out their thing because they just weren't ready to do it, and they didn't know that you could do it later. So this is actually a classic example of getting stuff out into the world, and then a lot of times the user behavior is different than what you might expect. Because part of me, I'm glad I didn't do this, but part of me was almost do we need time sensitive notifications to really test this kind of Be Real-esque thing? But so it's good that we didn't do that. And now I'm not even going to prioritize that because I actually changed the messaging today to not even have the 2-minute thing. There's still a timer when you actually go onto the app and log your thing. But there's nothing more on the notification. So that was just an interesting thing about, get things into people's hands and never know how they're going to use it. And then we had an artist give us some feedback because I checked in because this artist started like a few days ago, about how it could be really cool to introduce some kind of like planner activity or planner aspect of the platform where you can kind of like plan your intention for the week or the month ahead so that when you're checking in daily, it kind of can map up to this larger thing, which was really cool because like one of our ambitions with this is like to try a different approach at the ultimate problem, And so what we were thinking is like, okay, if we can make something super fun and easy to use that's like a lot more stripped back, we can try to potentially implement some of the things that we thought were cool from the first one, like the guidance, the planning aspect, all of that stuff into this new version, just like slowly, more simply, etc. So it was cool that an artist kind of requested that on their own volition because it is something that we were thinking could be cool too. So that's something we might explore a little bit, is just figuring out what that might look like. And, before just putting it live or whatever, I don't know, maybe we'll see what other people think about it, stuff like that. But that was kind of cool because that is kind of like what we're going for with this whole thing. So yeah, overall solid day. If I want your name, I'll catch y'all tomorrow.